Hello, my dear friends. You're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 17th of July. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And today we are going to start with the report from the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation. Today they told us a lot of very interesting stories, so let's follow these stories, let's update our table about the situation that happened in Ukraine during Sunday. At least, maybe not during Sunday, but at least we got this information from this report just today in the morning. There was a lot of stories, and of course, it's up to you to believe or not these stories. But I decided to complete filling this table. Furthermore, in the future, I'm planning to update this table and to give access to this table to my patrons, so they will be able to follow this table together. Maybe in the future we will be able to update this table together, like showing the real situation in Ukraine among the Ukrainian forces. I will try to explain you one more time about this table. The first column means like brigade, what kind of brigade. The second column is area. The first thing that marked on the left side is the situation where this brigade located on this map. This one. So we will be able to find this brigade according to this information. For example, let's take a look at this 115th Mechanized Brigade. There was spotted in Seversk these days, but their main location is in Zhytomyr. Then we see the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and what happened during these days. Of course, this table I prepared just this weekend, so maybe there are some mistakes. Of course, we will fix together. You can give me your opinions about this table, how we can improve it. And today I added new column Sunday, and during the Sunday there are some actions that happen today. So let's start. And first we will discuss the 241st Defense Brigade that located in Bakhmut. And at least the first mentioning of this brigade was near Bakhmut. And today the Russian sources announced that they destroyed the headquarters of these forces near Zelený Gai. This is one of the most interesting brigades in this table because, as you can see, the first mention of this brigade was near Bakhmut. Then the Russians on Wednesday destroyed 15 soldiers near Kharkiv. Then there was like desertion of 45 soldiers near, as far as I understand, near Bakhmut, those desertion. And today they announced that they destroyed their headquarters in Zelený Gai, but Zelený Gai is in the Zaporozhye area. If you take a look at this map, you're gonna see that this brigade was mentioned in three places: near Kharkiv on the north, near Bakhmut, it's like our Donbas Arc operation, and in the south. So maybe there is some mistakes, or it's just some kind of reinforced brigade. They don't have their main position, and the Ukrainians are trying to push these forces from one place to another. Another important update we got from the 92nd Mechanized Brigade that located near Kharkiv. Yesterday there was an update that the Russians destroyed around 5 officers, and today we got update that the Russians killed around 200 soldiers and around 10 armored vehicles of this brigade. This brigade is located near Kharkiv. This is their main position, main base, and this brigade was under very heavy fire. And there was an update on the Russian sources map about this one. You see that they still have icon means like AP loss. I think that they wanted to say like AFU, Armored Forces of Ukraine losses and so on. And the strike was exactly in this place, and Ukraine lost some soldiers in this area. Another update was from the 59 Motorized Brigade. This Motorized Brigade, and as you can see on Sunday, it's a second strike against this brigade. The first one was on Wednesday. By the way, the same picture with Mechanized Brigade, two impacts during these days. And if we're talking 59 Motorized, there are also the second attack against this brigade. The first one was on Wednesday. They lost around 70 soldiers, around 10 armored vehicles, and around 10 artillery systems. And today they lost their headquarters, and this 59th Motorized Brigade is located near Nikolaev. The 28th, 14th, this one, 59th Motorized Brigade, this one. So as you can see, the forces that in the rotation process right now, And this is the area where the Ukrainians promised us that they are going to start their offensive operation towards Kherson. And as I understand, this motorized brigade belongs to Kakhovka group, and the force is located in Nikolaev, and this is the group that attacked the Novokakhovka dam, and there was a lot of explosion near the warehouse in this area. Another important update we got from the 16th Mechanized Brigade. As you can see, this is the third attack in a row against this brigade. The first one on Wednesday, 77 armored vehicle losses. This brigade is in rotation process. They got a lot of Enlau systems. They got a lot of foreign volunteers, specialists who know how to use this Enlau system. So we see that the Russians attack exactly the brigades who is mostly prepared for the future possible offensive operations over the south. On Thursday, they lost around 67 soldiers, and this morning we got report that they lost around 65 soldiers and 10 armored vehicles. Let's take a look at the map and let's find this 16 mechanized brigade. Motorized brigade is located near Kryvyi Rog. In table you see that 16 Kryvyi Rog, so we know that where we can find this brigade. So this one, the same picture, you see that the forces, this mechanized brigade, motorized brigade that located on the area on the north from Novokakhovka, this one was under very heavy shelling during this week. As you can see, I repeat myself that the Russians changed their geography of the rockets attacks on the area near Nikolaev, and that might mean a lot. We see that they concentrate their attack on the south, near Kharkiv on the north, and they used to attack heavily the area in Donbas occupation. That these days they attack this area less. Maybe because they achieved their goals they wanted. Now there was like report from Ministry of Defense of Shoigu Russian Federation. He ordered to start the offensive operation. So as I understand, they did their job, and now the forces, the ground battles is the main priority for the Russians in this area. They need just to push and to ruin this area. Another important update we got from Kraken. Kraken forces, this is very famous Ukrainian forces, Kraken. Their main base was located near Kharkiv. This our Kharkiv, Kraken forces. And I remind you that these forces is famous because of killing the Russian prisoners of war during all period. We can say that Kraken is some kind of filial, some kind of part, like daughter organization of Azov Battalion. These guys are nuts, according to the Russian sources. And this story with this Kraken is very interesting. If you take a look at this table, you're gonna see that somewhere on Thursday there was a report. If you remember, I told you that the Kraken forces refused to follow orders according to the Ministry of Defense. Of course, there was no update what kind of orders they refused to follow. If we talk, I started this table just this week. Maybe in the future we're going to add at least a few weeks before this table this week. But I remember that the previous week there was also a lot of stories with these Kraken forces that located near Kharkiv. The first one that was that during 2 weeks ago, some soldiers from Kraken battalion, from Kraken group, the brigade, were asking to transfer them from their battalion, right, towards this 127 Defense Brigade, or at least towards like this 103rd Defense Brigade. So they wanted, during 2 weeks ago, they wanted to leave their battalion, Kraken Brigade. And of course we understand why, because they're very famous, and I'm sure that the Russians are hunting them anywhere this brigade is going to be located. Even if this brigade will be transferred to the west of Ukraine, we're going to see that the Russians will continue shelling this, reducing this brigade as much as possible, because of the fact that the soldiers from this brigade was involved into torturing and killing the Russian forces, and not just like just killing, but they were torturing them. So of course they have very bad reputation. And 2 weeks ago they were asking some soldiers from this group were asking to move to another brigades, but as far as I understand, their ask was refused. Then during 2 weeks ago there was a new rocket impact, and around 200 soldiers were killed from this brigade. And as you can see, according to this table, on Wednesday, Thursday, they were refused to follow orders. So, and some forces, some special forces from Kharkiv were sent to this brigade. I think that Foreign Legion battalion forces were moved because, as you can see, this Foreign Legion is located between all these forces. So, as I understand, some kind of anti-retreat forces. So, I think that they were moved toward this Kraken to figure out and to solve issue with this battalion. And according brigade, and according to that situation, there was some kind of fight, some kind of few shots, and so on. And as a result, 6 soldiers from, as I understand, this Kraken group were killed. And today, Sunday, today we got reports that this group were spotted near Seversk. We see Seversk. Seversk is the zero line. Seversk is the most dangerous place today in the world because there was a lot of reports about losses in this area. And according to updates for today, we know that these Kraken were moved here. So as I understand, on Thursday, this brigade 2 weeks ago, they already knew that they would send to this area. So that's why some soldiers from this brigade were asking their commanders to leave this Kraken brigade to other forces, but they were refused their request. And these Thursdays, they got an order to move to Seversk. Maybe late, maybe before, maybe on Wednesday. But anyway, we got this information just on Wednesday. As I understand, we understand that anybody who goes to Seversk will stay in Seversk forever, or they will be got jailed, or got in prison, or they will be killed. And we understand why the Ukrainians are sending Kraken here, because forces from Kraken are not going to surrender, because they understand if they surrender, they won't survive, because the Russians are not going to take them as prisoners of war, because we understand that this Kraken was involved into torturing and killing the Russian soldiers. So this is the reason why the Ukrainians decided to send in Seversk the forces who is not going to retreat, to desert, to run away, who will fight till the last soldier, because of the fact that if they will be captured, they will be killed. And as I understand, but it's just the people, it's not robots. So of course, Kraken forces, soldiers understood that where the Ukrainian commanders are sending them. So that's why they did some strike. As I understand, the most we can say strikers were killed, and today we hear that these forces is near Seversk. So as you can see, the Ukrainians are not planning to leave Seversk, and we see that they're planning to keep this area and to fight till the last Ukrainians. Furthermore, today in the Russian segment of internet, there was update from the President Office Zelensky, and there was an update that the West countries, to be more precise, the United States of America, told the Ukrainians that if they are going to lose Slaviansk, Kramatorsk, Konstantinovka, this line, we call this line as the Luzhny defense line, this area. If the Ukrainians are losing this area, this situation will be considered on the West as the total collapse of the Ukrainian forces on the front line. And that means that this situation can ruin any further support and supply of the Ukrainians. So if the Ukrainians are losing this line, that means that the United States of America told them that means that we won't support you anymore. We will try, but more and more forces in the West will try to collapse, to close the supply for the Ukrainians. So this is the vital area, and we see right now the vital battle, the final battle for the Donbas in this military special operation. Now let's take a look at this table one more time. There is 104th Defense Brigade. Their main base is near Rivne, and today, according to the Ministry of Defense, they told that this entire brigade left their position. It was some kind of desertion, and they noted that they left in a known direction. So let's find this 104th Defense Brigade. They are located in Rivne. This is our Rivne. This 104th Brigade, this main base. So they were forced and they will move towards the Bakhmut, towards the Hell. And of course, they don't want to die on these lands. They are Ukrainians from the west. Some sources are saying that the Ukrainians from the west hates the Ukrainians from the east, and of course they don't want to die for not even their land in this massacre, so they left their position, and according to the Ministry of Defense, they left in a known direction. Now let's talk about one of the most important updates for today. These days there was like impact, a strike against Odessa, and the Ukrainians, the Russians managed to destroy some Harpoon systems in this area near Odessa. Let's take a look at Odessa one more time. We saw these reports and so on, and one of the most important that everybody discussed today, this report, is that near this town, not near this town, near this town, Pokrovsk. If the Russians call this town Krasnoarmeysk, the Ukrainians changed the titles of town that was from the Soviet period, and according to this report, according to the Ministry of Defense, the Russians destroyed the HIMARS system in this town. So we know that there are 8 HIMARS systems in Ukraine. And today, the Russians mentioned, and now everybody says that it was the first HIMARS system that was destroyed on the territory of Ukraine. But there are a lot of very, very interesting situations with this HIMARS system and so on. So let's discuss this in more details. Now I will give you my opinion. It's just my analysis. You won't be able to find this information anywhere else. It's just my opinion, and of course it's up to you to believe or not. But this report about destroying of first HIMARS was done during the week when we got few updates from the Russian side about the fact that the HIMARS were one system or two systems were sold to the Russians. First one we got on Monday, HIMARS sell, first update, and the second one we got yesterday, that HIMARS sell, the second update. And today, and of course, I tried to read a lot of tried to follow almost every comment in my channel, and there was a lot of question, a lot of fightings between our members that if the Russians took, they should show us the photo. So on Monday I told you that there was the first update, and all this week we were waiting for something. We were waiting for pictures, for something, and so on. And this Sunday, the Russians shown us this and told us that they managed to destroy one HIMARS system. And they show us the video. I published this video in my Telegram channel. If you haven't seen this video, you can join the channel and you will be able to see this. But the thing is that this video has 3 parts. The first one, the part where the drone show the video of these HIMARS and the system that makes them reload of these HIMARS systems. So they were moving on the roads near some hangars and so on. The second part of that video was that the Russian Iskander system launched their rocket, and the third part of this video was the area and full of smoke, after the explosion. There was no video of exact impact, exact strike of this. Not just exact impact of this HIMARS system. We according to this video, we couldn't see the real video of hitting this system by the rockets. Of course, there was a lot of comments in Telegram channel that people were asking. We see that these systems, then we see the rocket launch, and then we see a lot of smoke. But where's the impact? Where's the hit? And I told in the Telegram channel that I suppose that this is exactly the HIMARS that were sold to the Russians. Why I'm saying this? If you remember, during this week I told you about the schema of this financial operation, we can say. I told you that according to information I have, there would be something like these HIMARS would be transferred to some gray zone, like on the front line for attack, for starting some offensive operation and so on. After that, this area, of course, the spies from the Ukrainian side would give these coordinates and the real position of these HIMARS to the Russians. After that, the Russians would start some shelling this area, And with this, they will force the Ukrainians to leave this area. The Russians would enter this area, take HIMARS, and leave this area. So that was the schema that we discussed on Monday. How the Russians were planning to do this, or how they did this already, and now we got just this update and this improvement. I tried to analyze this area, and there were at least 3 places where this exchange might happen. And as I understand, this might happen or on the south, because this should be somewhere close to this Pokrovsk, to this Krasnoarmeysk town. The first one somewhere in the south. You remember that Ukrainians started some counter-offensive operation in this area. They took Igorovka, Shevchenkovka, Pavlovka, these towns, and after that, if you remember, they were defeated on the south. And they left some towns, so maybe during this retreat, we can say, forgot these HIMARS in this area, and the Russians took them back. Of course, now they're showing the picture of destruction, of destroying of this HIMARS system. If we're talking about a recent operation, there was also very important update near Kamenka in Avdiivka area. If you remember, a few days ago, the Russians announced that they established control over Kamenka, this town, and that they cut the road that leads from Avdiivka towards Konstantinovka. But even a day later, the Russians reported that, and Ukrainians as well reported that they managed to return control over this town, Kamyanka. And that there are still heavy fightings in this area, heavy clashes, and for now, as you can see, this town not even in the gray zone. So the second place where this exchange might happen is in Kamyanka. So the Russians paid money to the Ukrainians, and the main idea was that the Ukrainians are moving here their forces, their HIMARS system. Then the Russians entered, the Ukrainians leaving this position, they're taking HIMARS, and then they're leaving Kamyanka as well, and the Ukrainians are coming back. So it's my option, it's my opinion. Of course, it's up to you to believe or not. Maybe you are able to develop my version, maybe you are able to give you some counter opinions about my opinion, but I suppose that this is exactly the HIMARS that were sold to the Russians, because everything is looks like as we discussed starting the Monday. Furthermore, there was also a very interesting comment in our channel that some opinion from the Kiev embassy of the United States of America that the embassy stopped work because of the fact that the US countries brought to Ukraine the HIMARS with 3 kilometers range rockets. So that's why the United States of America decided to move their embassy to Lvov, exactly to area where the Russians are not able to get them with at least some Grad systems. I'm not talking about the Iskander systems or about Kalibr systems, but at least with the regular weapon, they are not able to get Lvov, but they are able to get Kiev, of course. Another important thing, my idea that maybe they decided to leave Kiev because if it's true about the HIMARS, so that's why, of course, the Russians are able to hit Kiev with those HIMARS, of course, and because of the fact that there is no information about the fact that those HIMARS were sold to Ukrainians, to the Russians. So, of course, the United States of America are not able to blame the Russians with this attack against the embassy, and because of the fact that this attack was done by HIMARS rockets, so on. So a lot of stories, of course. It's up to you to believe or not, of course. I'm not saying that it's truth, it's just my opinion. Now let's talk about the further week and upcoming week. If we're talking about Kharkiv, today we got a report from the United Kingdom intelligence, and they were saying that it's very possible that the Russians, as soon as they finish with the Donbas Arc operation, they're going to start offensive operations towards Kharkiv and trying to encircle it. This week was the week under the Chuguyev strike and the forces located on this bank of the river, Seversky Donetsk River. So I suppose that maybe the next week we are going to continue see the operation and offensive operation from the Russian side, and they will try to establish some control over this bank of the river, because it's very easy to protect, because it's like on the river there is only one way to attack from the Ukrainians, just from the west, and they were not able to attack from the north, from the south, just from the west. So that's why this line might be very useful and might be very nice for the Russians. If we're talking about Izium bridgehead, I'm not sure that the Russians are planning to do anything in this area. If you remember, there was some days that they established control over Novotovka or Zaliman, but today we don't have any update from this area, so maybe they lost their bridgehead in this area and they left on this side, on this bank of the river. If we're talking about Izium bridgehead, and to be more precise about Slaviansk, of course, the Russians need to clear the forest, this Sherwood forest, and to establish control over this forest, like to do something like this. And with this, they will be able to get more closer to get closer to Slaviansk. They will be able to cut the railroad support of this area. If we're talking about this bridgehead that located on this side of these like fish lakes, they need to take control, the entire control over Bogorodichna, and we can say to establish their position somewhere on this line, on this north. This is the projection and their goals for the next week, if they are able to do this, of course. I'm not sure that the Russians are going to attack Slaviansk or to do something with this town, because it's too early. To start Slaviansk offensive, Kramatorsk offensive operation, first of all, they need to break through this area and to reach the road MO3 from the east side. For now, there are still fightings near Seversk. There are a lot of losses near Seversk, so that's why I suppose that at the beginning of the next week, somewhere by Wednesday, I suppose that the Russians will try to establish control over this line, Seversk, and so something like this. We know that Sporny is already under the Russians, so maybe they will try to do something like this by the middle of the next week. So it's some kind of my projection about the developing of this offensive operation. And by that, they will have some operational territory to control, and they will be able to encircle and attack Bakhmut from the back, moving first to MO3 road and then to the Bakhmut from the west. If we're talking about Bakhmut, of course, the main goals for the Russians is to collapse Charlie Group, that located on the line between Soledar and Berestova, and it will happen anyway, because there are a lot of losses, and we follow these losses using this table. And furthermore, we know that the Russians has already established control over some part even of Soledar, so that's why the next goal for the next week is to establish entire control over Pokrovsk. Like to do something like this. We know that if we take a look at the Russian source map, Klinovo is already under the Russians. Let's find the Klinovo, this one. But Pokrovsk still stands, and the Ukrainians still hold a position in this area. So that's why the main goal for the next week for the Russians will be to reach Bakhmut, to get there as close as possible. I'm not sure that we're gonna see some battles in the town, because we see that the Ukrainians, they're not counting their soldiers, they're moving everything they can, even the force from Kharkiv, like Kraken Group. So I'm sure that they still have possibility to hold Bakhmut. Furthermore, if they're going to retreat from Seversk, there will be a real reinforcement to this area, and their position, I'm sure that by the by the Thursday of the next week, we're going to see something like this. So this will be the major front line on the north, and on the east from the Ukrainian side, they will try to hold this area. And of course, we're talking about the south. The Russians need to fix the issue on the south and to establish control over Kadema. And by that, they will be able to encircle the 72nd Mechanized Brigade, 13th Mechanized Brigade. If we take a look at this area, they will be able to encircle the National Battalion right sector, Pravy sector in this area. And it will be a very big problem for the Ukrainians, because for now, I don't think that they are able to leave this area using the equipment. By the way, the Ukrainians changed their tactic with the equipment. I don't know who told them to do this. If they are not able to take their equipment and to evacuate with their equipment, the thing they're doing, that they're putting some radio things there, and it's like auto navigation for the rockets. And if the Russians see some equipment, of course, it's very big. It's a very good thing to find a totally fixed tank or armored vehicle, but this is a trap. Using this, there are some spies from the Ukrainian side, and as soon as they see that the Russians are getting closer to this equipment, they give some order, and the Ukrainians are sending their rockets, or they're sending their maybe Excalibur shells, and they're destroying their own vehicles using the artillery, and it And during this week, as I understand, there was a lot of losses from the Russians because of all these traps that Ukrainians left on the territory they left during the previous weeks in Slaviansk and so on. So they warned their forces to be very careful with these vehicles that were dropped on the territory that is now under the Russians. So about the next week on the south, they need to encircle the Ugledarska power plant and to do something like this at least by the end of this week, and this will allow them to open the doors to the New York agglomeration to start their offensive operation in the south. If we're talking about Avdiivka, the Russians still fighting near Kamyanka, and now I'm not sure about the real battle this because of the situation with those HIMARS, but if it's true, so of course they need to push the Ukrainians from this area and to establish control over Krasnogorovka. These two towns is the vital area for the Ukrainians, for the Russians, and for the Ukrainians as well. These two towns should be taken by the Russians by the next week, and it will allow them to start shelling and to ruining Avdiivka and to fix them on this territory. If we're talking about the south, I think that the main projection for the Russians just to keep the area they control right now, because I don't think they're able to move or to push Ukrainians. And if we're talking about Kherson, the same picture. I don't think that the Russians should push because there are not much forces there. The main goal for them is just to keep the territory they control, and of course, on every single front line, their main projection to reduce the Ukrainians as much as possible. If we're talking about the Ukrainians, their main goal, their main position, we see that the trap with the South offensive operation worked out because the Russians were forced to stretch their rocket impacts, rocket strikes. During this week, some strikes were on the Nikolaev area, and that allows the Ukrainians to get some fresh air in this area. So that's why, of course, the main idea for the Ukrainians to continue doing the situation as if they are planning to do some offensive operation in the south. This forced the Russians to stretch their rocket attack, and as soon as this allows them to reduce the rocket strike in this area, which makes the Ukrainian forces in this area much stronger. So this is their projection for the Ukrainians for the next week. And that's it for today. Military Samurai channel reminds you that we condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, join my Patreon, and put your likes, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.